Hello and welcome to Restoring Our American Republic. I'm Chuck Benoit with The Nature of Things, where we are realigning God, government, and natural law so that we might restore our American Republic. Please follow us on Facebook at Restoring Our American Republic, or check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic. If you'd like to take part in our narrative, just simply post your comments and we'll be happy to address them when relevant to our discussion. And you can help us be a voice here locally by liking and sharing this program. And remember, if you're unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. So, what would happen if the Republican Party chose to govern their party like the Democrats govern theirs? When foundational principles like freedom of assembly and its sister, freedom of association, principles like free speech are being attacked by the Republican Party, where does the conservative Republican go for relief? Well, I thought I'd ask that question to our guest, Cathi Chamberlain. Cathi, welcome to our live stream this morning. How are you?
I'm great, Chuck. Thank you so much for having me.
Super, super. Before we get too far, let's bring in my buddy Mike Levine. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Chuck and Cathi. Great to be with you guys this morning.
Super, great, great. Now, Cathi, you are the author of Rules for Deplorables, and I was wondering if you could give us a little startup on that. What are we talking about here? Sounds like Rule for Radicals, but Rules for Deplorables.
Well, that was the whole point, Chuck. I wanted to write a contrasting opinion book to Rules for Radicals. And of course, for those who don't know, that was written by a very leftist man by the name of Saul Alinsky, a gangster really from Chicago. And what he did was pretty amazing, and we're still feeling the effects of it today. He wrote a series of tactics, 13 of them to be exact. And these tactics were all designed pretty much to give community organization a real playbook on how they could pretty much bring our systems down. And it's, although, you know, I started off writing about his tactics, I ended up weaving Ploward Piven into it, Richard Ploward and Francis Fox Piven. And for those who don't know who they were really instrumental in where we find ourselves today as well, because they were a married couple who were professors at Columbia University back in the 60s, 70s. And what they did was wrote a series of strategy papers. And those strategy papers, for example, one was written in 1966 called The Weight of the Poor. And it was basically a paper to end all poverty. The problem is that it really wasn't designed to end all poverty. You know how the left is, Chuck and Mike, where they always name a group or a movement to sound so benevolent and so wonderful for our country. But this strategy that they wrote really was designed to overload our welfare system. In a way, that means like throw a whole bunch of people on there so that it wouldn't be able to afford even the needy. And so I like to say the way my book presents both of them is that Ploward Piven wrote the strategies to implode our systems and our country. And they say it. They come right out and tell us what they're doing. And then Saul Alinsky wrote the tactics by which to get us there. So what I did in my book, I took all 13 of his tactics. I opened up a chapter with each one using current events at the time I wrote the book, which I had it published in 2019. And I ended up using current events to kind of explain how the tactics and the strategies are being used today against us. And the weird thing is everything I wrote back then, for example, chapter 3 is all about the collusion, the Russia hoax. And all that stuff now is coming to the mainstream news, basically. I mean, there's still stuff I wrote in there that has not even come out yet.
That's for sure. It's like a lot of us. I'll bring Mike in just in case he has something to say. Yeah, a lot of what all of that is going on right now. We might have a past president indicted here for some issues in that regard. Very, very interesting. So you were pretty much out there in the forefront, and you kind of saw that happening, kind of things.
Oh, yes, I did. And that's primarily because I was once a flaming liberal, believe it or not, back in California years and years ago. I know that most of my audiences are quite shocked at that because Ross Perot kind of started straightening my head out, and then Trump kind of did the final red pill. So
Interesting.
There you go. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I got the impression. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to read your book, but it is on my hit list. Did you say you kind of like used Alinsky's prefaces and kind of attacked them or directed your concerns toward them?
Yes, it's more like a handbook for conservatives to understand how these tactics that the left is using, for example, if you recall Pelosi's definition of the wrap-up smear, remember that? So each tactic has a meaning, and the community organizers on the left, they know this book very well. That's how I knew it, because as a liberal, I read the book. It was kind of required reading to all liberals. And if you weren't aware, his book is literally sent overseas to foreign countries for these color revolutions that we see going on, to train community organizers on the ground, like the Antifas and the BLM. They're all trained by Alinsky tactics. So I thought it was really, really important that conservatives, when they see conservatives like Trump himself uses the tactics, I don't know whether he realizes it or not, but one that's the most common I'll share with you is tactic number 5, which is ridicule is man's most potent weapon. So when you hear Trump calling all these people like Little Rocket Man and all these names, that's actually an Alinsky tactic that they use quite effectively. So I wanted to give a sort of a counter book so that conservatives could understand, because so many people get upset with Trump when he uses these tactics. And quite frankly, we're at war. We have got to stop pretending like we own the moral side of this whole story, because principles at this point, folks, I hate to tell you, if we lose our country, principles are not going to matter. And a lot of people get upset with me for saying that, especially conservatives, especially the establishment. Oh no, we can't use their tactics. But quite frankly, just like the art of war, and they're very similar to the tactics used there, it's time we start getting serious.
There you go. Now you, I think when I met you, when I first met you, we were at a January 6th event up in, well, I guess we call it South Lake here. It's not up. But one of the things that you have highlighted on your website is Jeremy Brown. I was wondering if you could give us a little feedback on this highly decorated Green Beret, Jeremy Brown, and what happened, what was his story?
Well, honestly, I'd rather not even go into it. I was his campaign manager, as you probably know. I talked him into running for a Florida House seat here in Florida. I'm in Pinellas County. He lives in Tampa. And I felt like the J6ers were not getting enough attention, and they certainly deserved it, every one of them, because they were completely mistreated by the weaponization of our government. There's no question about that. And so for 4 years, I and the team that I gathered up, about 40 incredible grassroots volunteers, got behind Jeremy. We supported him 100%. We put together podcasts for him, got him on many podcasts, raised over $300,000 for him, not including the $45,000 that we raised for his campaign. And now his was a really deep blue seat, District 62 here locally. So we didn't really anticipate him winning, but the exposure was what was so critically important there. And so shortly before Jeremy was released, and people can learn about his story. It's all over the news, thanks to our group, actually. But strangely enough, after he was released, I think it was in February. As a matter of fact, it was on my birthday. He never reached out to one of us. We've never heard from him again. He's gone on many, many podcasts. And it's just baffling to us because, we did see him as a hero, but it was a really unfortunate end. We had a lot of big celebrations or welcome home party for him, and just never showed up. So that's a tough one for me. But again, we're all very happy. I don't know of one of his supporters that support him any longer, and that's unfortunate as well. So I hate to even share that with, but we no longer support the man. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I saw him on your website, so I thought maybe I'd ask that. So
thanks for reminding me. I got to take that off.
Oh, there you go. So you stay fairly active. There's a lot of things going on. I think there's a reclaim campaign going on or something along those lines. What's that all about?
Absolutely. This is probably, to me, the biggest movement that's going to really gain traction in the coming years up until the primary. And the Reclaim campaign was kind of born out of a real desperation and a starvation of the average American, or I should say, let's say Republican here in Florida, who are very disaffected and feel like we've been left behind by our leaders in Florida, the Republican Party of Florida, as well as many of our county Republican executive committees. And that's RECs, for those who don't know the acronyms, RPOF and REC. And that really is the leader of our party here in Florida. Every state has a leadership that is oversees the entire state, and then every county has a Republican Party that leads their county. And so we really feel like a lot of things have let us down by our leadership. And I know people who might be watching this from outside of Florida would say, what do you mean? Florida's the gold standard. And it's always that way unless you're, when it's in your own backyard. We know what's really going on here in Florida. So the America Firsters have decided we're tired of waiting for other people to do things for us when they keep coming out with establishment type politics. And so this campaign is really a group of Republican America First group. And we've got about 19 that have joined this very first of its kind quarterly Reclaim campaign, which is kicking off on this Saturday, the 26th.
Can I put I'd like to go ahead and put up a little blurb on that. You can continue to talk, Cathi.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, these are the keynote speakers. I'll be one of those. We've got Bob White, obviously, which he heads up the entire RLC across the state, the Republican Liberty Caucus. And then Raj Doraisamy, who you see there as the first picture, He is the founder, well, co-founder, I should say, of Defend Florida, which is a fabulous grassroots organization, the only one, to my knowledge, in all of Florida that sprang into action after the stolen election of 2020 and launched in January of 2021. I became their ambassador for the state because I was going around speaking about my book, and it just made sense. I was speaking to so many people all over the state. We were able to grow that movement to 35 separate counties, and that was all about canvassing, door knocking, finding out how clean our voter rolls are. So for those who might have been kind of shocked about the establishment that we have here, they actually were the ones that resisted Defend Florida back in 2021, even when we came to them with evidence that 20% of our voter rolls were in deep trouble and just had a lot of anomalies on them, which can be stolen. And so the establishment did absolutely nothing about that, even though we continuously contacted them about it. And our legislators, a lot of our legislators also. So we do have a problem still that our voter rolls have not been completely cleaned up here. And that's a real pet peeve of mine that I still work with. So Raj founded that organization. And now he really was the impetus behind Reclaim campaign. And it has just taken off. And what we're trying to do is get America First groups together to circumvent the entire party because they keep putting up candidates that turn out to be RINOs and establishment and owned by big money and developers, land developers that are literally not looking after us, we the people, in each of our own counties. So this whole campaign, it doesn't just include the election integrity, it includes the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again. We have a keynote speaker speaking on that. And then we have my favorite representative of the Florida House, Bernie Jacques, who is going to be a keynote speaker. And he's going to be talking about elections, but also legislation, because Defend Florida has kind of morphed itself from an election integrity group into a more following the legislation and trying to make sure that the bills that get passed are really written to help us and for our benefit. And so all those things are going to come together in the first quarterly. We're going to have the next quarterly of the Reclaim campaign coming up in, I believe it's September or October.
Super. Now you sent me another flyer. Unfortunately, it's more of a portrait size, and we're set up here landscape. I'm going to see if I can get it on the screen, and if I apologize in advance to our viewers if this doesn't come up right, I'll take it back off. But you can tell me it's the Hall of Reclaimers. Let me see what I can do to make that a little bit bigger or better
you almost
or whatever
got it.
Here.
There you go.
This is all I got right here in front of me.
Yeah.
It's just working on the fly. So we have Defend
Yeah,
Florida,
this is-
we have Manatee Patriots, Watchdogs, Citizens Freedom, Citizens Defending Freedom. I'm sure people can go maybe to your website or somewhere else to find that. It's not really looking
Well,
that great.
yeah, that would be the reclaimcampaign.com
Reclaim.
if anybody wants to find out more information.
Reclaimcampaign.com for that. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to, you gave it to me and I didn't know if I could play with it on the fly. Not so much, but we'll hopefully get that out. So is this basically what you're doing right now, the Reclaim campaign? Is that your thing right now, other than possibly, well, we'll get into any more author material here in a second, but is Reclaim your thing now?
My main focus here is the Pinellas Watchdogs, which is a group that I founded back in 2022 here locally in Pinellas. And part of what I'll be talking about at Reclaim Campaign is how to grow a similar group in your county. Because what we're trying to do here, we've kind of mirrored what a local REC is supposed to do and supposed to be, which we have a chairman, a vice chair, a secretary, a treasurer. We are learning the rules of the Constitution, the Florida Constitution, the RPOF constitutional models, so that we know how to react in our meetings. Because here in Pinellas, for example, we are not even as REC members, and the Republican Executive Committee, we are the committee, the members, right? But we're not allowed to even ask questions here. That's for about, you can't raise your hand, you can't have a conversation. Our chairman once said he doesn't follow Robert's Rules of Order. And so we've been trying to learn what are the rules, because it doesn't seem as though our own leaders know or play by the rules. So it's gotten so difficult. As you gentlemen know, there's been a lot of resistance by the RPOF to America First groups and also members of the REC, which, as a matter of fact, our group Pinellas Watchdogs tonight is having Trent Wayman on. And I think the last time I saw you guys was up there in Lake County, where he was speaking at Tom Vale's group, explaining to us what happened, how his entire REC got taken down by the RPOF. And I mean, how can they even do this to Republicans, fellow Republicans? People don't realize it, but we're at war right here in the Republican Party. And that's really sad. The RPOF does its best to make America Firsters appear to be the dividers, but actually the exact opposite is true. And we have been doing as much as we can here in Pinellas County to try to bring unity to the Republican Party. But honestly, as an America First leader and a mover and shaker, you can't, you have to toe the line, and you can't complain, or else you're just not a part of the good old boys club. That's basically what it is. So what we're trying to do in our club is bring attention to the America First candidates, the ones that we know are going to benefit our county, and help them, because they don't get a whole lot of help unless they are a member of the Republican local establishment. America First candidates have a very hard time raising funds, as well as just trying to run in a school board position or commissioner. And so what we're trying to do is bring more attention to that, because we've been doing all the grassroots work here locally for the last 2 years and have had a lot of success. So that's basically what I'm focused on, is growing this group, and what I'll be talking about at Reclaim Campaign, to try to spread this concept across the state of Florida, as we did the Defend Florida concept. And I can tell you that the RPOF is incredibly concerned and worried about it, because they've sent out now 2 letters or 3 letters to the chairman of the RECs locally at the county level, telling them that they are not to have anything to do with the Reclaim Campaign or Roger Dorsami, because he's pretty much been the one who's been going around the state really talking about the event that's coming up Saturday. And folks, you can find out about that at reclaimcampaign.com. the times and everything. I believe that the RSVPs might be, the invites might be, it might be a little too late for that, but stay in touch and sign up because we really need to bring the America First, the MAGA movement into play in politics here.
Super. Well, we believe it or not, our time is beginning to dwindle by, and I thought I'd at least mention you do have a book coming out, Rules for Rhinos. Why don't you give us a little, heads up on what that's all about?
Yeah, thank you. Well, my supporters have been urging me for years to write a sequel. And my first book had over, I think, 400 footnotes. So my books are extremely well researched. And I never had time to do it because I'm so involved with this activism work. But I finally decided to sit myself down. And it's called Rules for Rhinos, Alinsky Tactics to Fight Republicans in Name Only. So if people don't know what that acronym stands for, Republicans in Name Only, meaning they really don't follow the Lincoln Republican Party was all about. But this book is a sequel to my first. It's going to be it's formatted the exact same way, where I start off each chapter with an Alinsky tactic using current events and to explain how they're being used today. And I got to tell you, Chuck, this is coming out now like a spy novel. I'm already on chapter 12. I'm expecting it to be released by the end of this summer. There'll be 13 chapters, as you know. But the news is changing so fast, unlike my first book. I have to go back and rewrite quite a bit of the news that chapter 1 has in it. But the book is going to follow how a candidate becomes a RINO, an America First cap, even when they first get into office, and through the deep state, the swamp, the globalists. So people are going to learn a lot about politics from the history of the beginnings of the Republican Party.
My strong feeling has been that globalism is antithetical to republicanism. And we seem to be seeing, what's interesting to me is that President Trump has basically pulled the mask off of everybody in both parties. And what that has done is caused the Democrat Party to utterly explode, but it's causing the Republican Party to have a pretty uncomfortable time right now, where they don't want to lose who they were, but they still can't come out as obvious possibly as they can. So what they're doing is really their attack is the attack locally or internally, as opposed to attacking the Trump doctrine publicly. They're attacking us and not them, kind of thing. So, Mike, you've been a little quiet today. I know you had a busy night last night, but thought I'd pull you in at least before we.
Well,
close
Cathi
things
just brings
out.
so much. Cathi brings the relevant information. So I think if I just let her talk long enough, she'll cover anything that I would be concerned about. But I will just, there's so much to unpack, with what Cathy's been doing over many years. But I just want to toss out the possibility that Republicans are just really waiting for Trump to go away so they can just revert back to where they were. And I believe during the process here in Florida, certainly, I don't think there's any dispute about it that Republicans are being silenced. As Cathi has pointed out, we could go much deeper into the county by county, organization by organization. We didn't talk about the FRA. I'm on the state board of directors for Republican Liberty Caucus. So, there's a leadership change happening at the Republican Liberty Caucus. So I believe that Republican Liberty Caucus is headed towards the same pushback from the Republican Party of Florida that FRA got and that Reclaim Florida is getting. So that's just my conclusion. And of course, I've been involved with these guys a long time. And I have a lot of things to say about it, but I know we don't have a lot of time. So I guess we'll just have to pick this up on another episode, Chuck.
Not a problem. Cathi, I thank you so very, very much for being with us here today. We've genuinely enjoyed chatting with you, and we know that you've been around and talking to others. We're hoping to see you here locally again here very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And let me just come over here and see what I've got. Okay. So again, with all of that said and done, we'll sign off here. My name is Chuck Benoit. I'm with The Nature of Things. And remember, again, if you're unwilling to govern yourselves, if you're unwilling to be in the process of governing, you will be governed by tyrants. Thanks again for tuning in to our twice weekly live stream. See you next time. And again, in the meantime, God bless you. God bless President Donald J. Trump, and God bless America.